Right, so we're in our blue Rover 45 W Reg, and basically the electric window is working fine, but when it goes up to the finishing point or the up position, it clicks. So we want to investigate what's doing that, because it should just stop, whereas it appears the motor carries on and the window judders or clicks. If I go up with it now and just show you here, it goes up fine, and then as it goes up to top it clicks, and it clicks again, so it's not shutting off. So we want to have a look and see what's causing that problem. If I open the door a little bit, we'll just cover how this door comes off. Actually, it's one of the easier doors to remove, we think. Basically, you've got a little screw in this door handle that comes out. You move the handle over one way to remove the little plastic tangs. I'll go into more detail of that when we're doing it, and it comes away. And then there's a big Phillips screw there and there on the door handle. This little plastic screw, which sometimes doesn't always come out, you kind of remove with a trim tool remover. Then you unclip the bottom of the door by pulling it outwards, and then you hook it out up from the top, and that's the door basically removed, or the door cover that is. The speaker stays there, so you don't have to worry about any of that on this door. So that's what we're going to do next, and investigate what's causing that window to click when it goes up to the shut position. Right, so all the screws are out. Remove the one from the door latch, the full handle, and even amazingly the little plastic screw come out as it should do. Basically it's screwed out, released the little tangs. I was able to pull it out, which isn't always the case. So with this door handle, it's got a series of little hooks behind it. So what you have to do is pull it forwards towards the car, and then it will come out just like that. So yeah, once you've pulled this door handle forwards, it often can be a little bit tight to get out those little tangs, but it will come out. Then all that's holding it in is the little rod, and you can see that little green piece of plastic that's hooked over it. So what you need to do is simply knock it away. Sometimes you can do it with your finger, other times you need a little screwdriver to just knock it away. So yeah, you do need to be careful you don't break that tang, and as you can see, I've just pushed it over out the way, and once that's done, the door handle should, just with a little wiggle, basically just come out of that little pin, and there it is out. And as I say, as long as you don't break that little clip, because that's what stops it popping out while you're going along and making this door handle useless. So yeah, it's important you don't break that. Once that's out, it's in a case of removing the door. Right, so once you've removed all those screws and the door handle up we've just seen, it's a case of removing the door panel. It's got a series of clips down the side, along the bottom and back up the side. Now if the door's been removed a few times, that's the door panel, you can sometimes just get under it and pull it away. As you see, I've already pulled it out. If it's slightly stiff or not been out so many times like this side was, you might need a little trim tool remover and just leaving it out, and it will come away. Once it's loose like this, you can then come upwards with it, and it will pull out from the window side where it's hooked up. So that's what we're going to do next. Yeah, so once it's levered up like that, all you need to do is then pull the door up, and it's sort of hooked down here by the window. And what you'll probably find is, if you couldn't get the two screws right out from this door handle, they'll fall out while you're doing that, and then it is just a case of lifting it up and away. And the difference with this door from the passenger side is you will have to unplug the wires to the little electric window switch. If we just lay the door down like that, you'll see it there, and it's just a little clip there, which I've already pulled out. That lets us remove the doorway, but we will have to be plugging that back in to do some tests, so we'll just have to see how that goes. If we remove this switch to have it there, we'll just plug the door back in to test it. But that's the door panel away, so we can go in and have a look and see if there's anything obvious. So just a little quick update. What we've done is removed the electric mirror switch. We don't have to keep plugging the switch in attached to the door card. It's just two little screws, one there and one there. And if we lift that switch away, you can then see we've got the whole switch separate from the door panel. And then you can see what we've done is then plug that switch in, so we can then operate the electric window up and down. The addition's off at the moment, so it won't do anything. So that's made one thing easier. What we also did was remove this control module. I've put it back now, there and there. And also we found it worth removing the speaker, and that's just got 4 Phillips screws, top and bottom, and then a little plug on the back. That gave us a little bit more access. And then what we did was remove this plastic back and made sure that all these were tight in there. Some were a little bit loose. We've tightened them up, but that hasn't made any difference at all. So we are starting to think it is something to do with the motor, or the mechanism being worn, or even perhaps the little gearbox in the motor, the teeth could be slipping. So what we're going to do at the moment is, because it's quite simple, this door panel to take on, put on, is we're going to put it back on so the car isn't left out of action, look for a new mechanism, and then we can then take it out and have a look at the both and really experiment about without leaving the car out of action. So that's the sort of stage we're at. And then when we get on to the next stage, I'll continue filming again, and hopefully we can show this as a full video and this stopping it from clicking the window when it goes up. So what you might also find when you remove your door panel, that some of the clips come away with the door, which they should do, but some get left behind in the main structure of the door. So what we use normally to get them out is this trim removing tool, and it simply wedges in behind the clip, and then you can just lever it out and away. And once you get it out of the tool, you can then slot it back in there, ready to fit it back on. Right, so we're back working on our Rover 45 blue door, and you may remember in the last clip that what we decided to do was to leave it and put all the door panel back, because we suspected it wasn't an adjustment thing, but the mechanism was probably broken. What we didn't want to do was take that mechanism out, find it was broken and not repairable, we'd have been left without a working window. So we decided to put it all back and look for a second-hand part so that we could either completely change it or make a good one out of the two. So that's the stage we're now at, and we've now taken everything back off. And I know in this video, as you're watching, that'll be 2 clips apart, but for us it's been a couple of months. We probably could have got something quicker. We didn't rush, and we just looked for it. And if I take you over to the back of the car, we've got it all wrapped up, ready to fit. So we're just going to dismantle the rest of the stuff and get on with that job. And what you can see there, we've already removed the speaker as well, and we're also in the process of removing the little electric window module, this wiring, so we can then get this plastic right out the way this time. Right, so we've now removed the module. That's what we don't necessarily like doing, but because these clips won't come out very easy, we don't want to break them, because these wires here that go to your mirrors are clipped in. What we've done is just cut a little slot into the plastic so we could get this plastic away, and we can always retake that up, and that's got that out the way from us damaging it anymore, and then we can put it back nice and neat, or as neat as possible. What we're doing now is just marking some of the positions of the bolts on this window regulator, which may help us lining up the new one when we fit it, and also we'll be able to see, hopefully see, what might be wrong with this one as well. Right, so now we've got all that plastic away, we've temporarily connected up the module, and we took the switch off the door panel, because what we're going to need to do is remove, or get that window down a little bit to get to these bolts here, so it'll come down and there be visible. What we may even do is take the window right out, if it's easy enough to get the mechanism in. We're just going to have to see how it goes. Right, so now we've got the window down into position. As you can see, we've disconnected the battery and put a cap on there, so nothing can definitely touch or make any circuits, so the window can't be moved while we're working on it. We may have to reconnect it and move it again. We'll just have to see how that works. Hopefully we won't have to. Now got the window down, put it down slightly further than we thought, because although the bolt here is quite visible through lots of different holes, the one over this side only really appears through this lower hole here, and possibly you can get to it from the speaker hole as well. So that's why we've removed it down a little bit further than we were initially going to. Right, so we're now just undoing those bolts, and what we've done is, you shouldn't have to undo them completely. You can see there's a bigger hole next to that bolt, so it should all slide this way and come away from the window. So we're going to do that now. So what we did, it's a job to show, we got the runner and slid it out, so this bolt and the one you can't see come away from the run. And what we've now done, if I pan back, is we've got the window out at an angle, and we're just bringing it right out like that, and it's away. Right, so that's the window out, and actually we're quite surprised how easy you can get it out just by loosening those two bolts, sliding the runner off, and then coming out at an angle. So now the next thing will be to do is to remove this mechanism. What we're going to do is have another look at the one we've got, and just see what's there, and have a little comparison before we now remove all the runners. Right, so here's the window regulator we've been sent. It's supposed to be a good used working part. I think it was someone who mainly dealt in providing used Rover parts through eBay. Hopefully it'll work okay. We're not too worried about sort of usage or mileage, because we know from our own cars, one of the cars we've got has technically done almost double the mileage of this one, and that window's working fine. So as long as it works, there's not necessarily a worry in that, because low mileage doesn't always mean that it's going to last longer as a part. What we've also done, I forgot to mention when we were doing that, is the guide that runs for the glass. We did remove that bolt just there, through that hole there, so there was a little bit of flexibility when we remove the glass from it. What we're now going to do is remove the bolts we need to get the old one out, have a look at it, and then see if we can fit the new one. Right, so we're now going to undo those bolts, and as you can see, and I said before, we've marked them because this bolt here is sitting towards the top, and this bolt down here is sitting more towards the bottom, so it just gives us a sort of a reference to where those bolts are sitting, so hopefully it will line up a little bit quicker than us trying to fiddle about after the fact. And once we've got them both out together, we can have a look at the positioning of everything, so we can get this one back into the same position, or see whether it's a case of changing some bits over. We don't really know yet till we've got the one that's in there out. Right, so what we've done is we've had to unplug the motor back from the little module, and we're bringing it out through this hole here. And there it is away. So actually not quite as fiddly as we thought, although it is fiddly. Right, so there they are together. This is the old one, that's the new one. They're slightly different positions, they look so different. So obviously we want to check this one works before we fit it anyway, so we'll plug it in and try and move it to a similar sort of position to this one, which will help us put in the window back as well, hopefully. There is a slight difference in the motors, but that could have been the case even on the same year. It could be this is slightly younger or older, that we're not going to know, but it appears to be exactly the same, just a different motor. The mechanism is all the same, so now it's for us to test it and get it into the right sort of position. The good thing is that the wires are the same colour coding and the plug is the same, but it's always worth comparing things when you get them. Just a case of getting it in the right sort of position to match the position that the other one has come out of. Right, so we've just been having a little closer look at these, and the one that we've got as our spare part that we're going to fit is almost in the up position, the way the motor's sitting, whereas we'd wound our one down to get the window out. And having a little look at the teeth, you can kind of see it side on first of all. If I let it focus a little bit, hopefully you can see the teeth are kind of a little bit worn and jagged. Oh yeah, you can see that there. That's nice and clear. And then if I bring it up like this, you can kind of see the teeth are almost ground away or a groove in them, especially that tooth there is the worst of them. Then as I come round, you'll see they're looking much better, and that would fit with the fault we had, because as we got near the top it started to click and jump, so we assume it was slipping on these teeth. And what we're hoping is, because the motor ran and didn't jump anywhere else in the travel, this should give us a spare motor, even though those teeth are probably damaged, and hopefully the one we've got will be okay, because those teeth are hidden at the moment. But it certainly lets us know what the fault was with this, the regulator. And it was worth us waiting, because if we'd have took this out, we'd have found the fault and more or less had to put it all back broken so we could use the car. So it was worth us getting a new part first of all before we got this out. And as I say, there should be some spare parts on that, so that's not even a waste when we put the new one back. Yeah, so we're just having another little look round, and I was saying that the motors were different. Well, that kind of confirms it, because this motor is actually date stamped 1999, whereas this one is date stamped 04, so we assume that is a later motor. So that's why they are different. That kind of just confirms why that was. Right, so what we did was connected the battery up, plugged them in temporarily, or plugged the new one in, and got it into the same position as the one that we'd taken out. So you can now see they look more or less the same in their positioning. It's also let us check it works. Actually, the motor sounds very quiet compared to the one that was in there. And you can really see now how those teeth are worn down. And if you look at the new teeth, because that's let us check that, they are complete full height, so actually they are really very worn on the end of that. So that definitely confirms the fault. It confirms that one's working, so we can now start the process of putting the window regulator back. Right, so what we're going to do just before we do fit is just put a little bit of some multi-gear grease on, because it's looking a little bit dry, and hopefully that'll work its way in and stop any sort of resistance on it, because it does look a little bit dry, and actually the one we took out looks even drier still. So again, one of those things you don't want too much on, because it will attract the dirt, but not having anything on at all is certainly not going to help things. We'll just put a little bit on there just so it can work in. Right, so we're going to just slide it in exactly how we got it out, in through that big hole, and then we'll get it positioned and start to bolt it up. Right, so what we're doing is just putting the bolts in very loosely, and as you can see there's quite a bit of flexibility in the hull, so you can then sort of move it about, get things into position with that flexibility, and then hopefully do it up into the right sort of position. So that's what we're doing at the moment. Alright, so what we're now doing is just tightening up some of these bolts into a better position. Of course, you've got the selection there, and you've got the one here as well. And what we've also been doing while we've got this out is actually cleaning up this piece of felt. And what I've done with that is use a little toothbrush dry, and we just got a lot of the dirt off of that, so that will be nice and clean, because normally you just cannot get that fully clean very easily. So that's been a good opportunity to do that as well. Right, so we've now got those bolts tightened. It was that one, that one, that one, that one, and these two more sort of chrome ones there. And what we've tried to do is line it up to the original marks, and we just go very gently with the wind the first time to check that is going to work. So now we're ready to put the glass window back in. Right, so we've now got the window back in. We did it the same way as we got it out of that angle into the runners and down, and then it was just a case of getting those bolts back into the bigger hole of the two, and then sliding it across so it went into the little hole. And we've done that with both bolts, and that's nice and tight. So the window's back in, which is always a little bit of a relief, because the window is quite vulnerable when it's out of the car, and you can very easily make a mistake and break it. So we're quite happy that that's now back in a rough position. We'll give it a check over and see how things go. Well, what we've also got to do is just put that little bolt back that holds the runner, which gave us that flexibility to get the glass in and out as well. Then we'll be connecting it up. Right, so we're just checking all the bolts are right, and we've got that one down there right, and we've put it up a couple of times, put a little bit of silicone spray in the runners as well, so it's greased up and siliconed, and hopefully you can see that it's coming up nice and smooth and stopping as it should do and coming back down. So we're certainly happy we found the problem, and the new motor is doing the job as it should do. Right, so that is more or less the job done as far as this video goes, because it's more or less the reverse, putting all the panels back on. And the reason we're not going to do it straight away is because we've got a few more jobs we're going to do. We want to clean inside there. We're going to also chip off this sort of silicone sealant that's gone hard, so we can put the plastic cover back without all that mess. And of course what we're doing is re-trimming the door panels as well, which hopefully will be in a video that's available when this one goes out, or a video to come in the future, so well worth checking out. Really, as I say, just the reverse. Of course, we've got this module to put back as well, but as I said, I showed you all coming out, and it will only be the reverse going back. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to check out any of the other videos we do. We were certainly pleased how it went, and actually it wasn't quite as bad as we thought either, so well worth us doing, and we've now got a fully working window. Right, so now we know that the new one works and it's fitted and we've got it going. What we thought we would just do is have a little look at the old one, just take the motor off. One, we want to keep the motor as a spare, because as far as we know that works, and we might keep the regulator for a bit, because you never know whether there are any bits off of it that could be useful. What I also forgot to say is, like all the jobs, we were still referring to a manual for some of the bits on the door, just to check we were doing it right, but not just to check we did it right, to check we weren't going a long way around something, or there's an easier way of doing it. It's always worth having a look through if you've got it. Right, so that's the motor off, and you can see the cogs there on the motor that go into those teeth here, and it looks like they're not too
nice
warm.
and strong, aren't they? Yeah. Really nicely profiled compared to the motor. It's the regulator.
Right, so that is good to know the teeth aren't damaged, so we can now keep that as a definite spare motor. And what we've done is just marked up where the bottom and top position is on that, and although those teeth are slightly warm, for now we're going to keep that as well, because you never know whether there could be any parts off of it that are useful, or it could even be viable to repair one day. So we'll keep it for now as a spare. But I just thought I'd cover that little bit whilst we were doing the video, because it's always useful to see it and see how the motor comes off and what sort of condition that's in as well.